Mm. Good Saturday, or whichever day it is when you're watching. Welcome to the people on YouTube, and welcome to the people live in the stream. My name is CatmasterOP, and I'm here with WaifuGate, and this is the Faded Connections Path of Exile community podcast, first episode. So please bear with us. We're still optimizing the process, but we want to get going because we think that you improve and learn the best if you're actively doing it rather than just theory crafting. Although theory crafting is an important part, because that's the perfect transition to Path of Exile, where we do a lot of theory crafting. Action role-playing game, free to play by New Zealand developers Grinding Gear Games. If you don't know it and for some reason came onto this podcast, then you should definitely check out the game. But yeah, we'll start with introducing ourselves. I think WaifuGate, maybe you want to go. Who are you? Since when have you been streaming and or playing PoE? And yeah, what are you doing this league or in general PoE?
Yep. So I'm WaifuGate, a softcore magic find magician. Cast on Death portals are my specialty. And okay, so when did I start playing Path of Exile? It was around Nemesis League. My friend Wesley said that he had a game that he was interested in playing, that it reminded him a lot of Diablo 2. And as a kid growing up, I played a lot of Diablo 2, so I was like, cool, like we can actually get back into that type of a game together. And so I started playing during Nemesis and hardcore, and it was just ridiculous because you just have so many rippy things in that.
You
And I had
started in
no
hardcore, actually.
Yeah, I started in hardcore. Yep.
I never knew that.
Fun facts. Part of the reason why I quit so early too, but I think that if I had gotten used to the core mechanics on softcore, gone hardcore, and then understood the game more, if I spent more time, looking at the wiki, understanding what killed me instead of just being like, oh, start a new character as soon as I die. I fell into that cycle. But I took a break, and then I ended up coming back to playing in softcore around Parandus League. That was like my first serious league. That's when I started to farm.
And since then, what have you been focusing on in PoE?
Well, it took me a while to figure out what I enjoyed doing. Eventually, I started to magic find. One of my friends ended up like just saying like, I've been making a lot of currency doing X and Y, and I jumped into magic find after that because I never really enjoyed bossing too much. And I've always enjoyed like crunching numbers, min-maxing, seeing how I can get the next tick, to go up. And magic find really did that for me, just grinding exalts, finding the best ways to farm while still maintaining like the like finding stuff that I still find fun, like good maps to actually magic find on instead of just doing the best thing. So I think that's where my focus is just finding the next build to magic find with and the next map to do that, just taking different approaches on that.
Sounds great. So I think I'll quickly hook in and explain when I started, and then we'll talk about the whole streaming part of it. Well, now we just had covered the playing PoE part.
Okay.
I started with the name Catmaster already, exactly, in League of Legends back in the days, and was always a fan of watching streams in between sessions and everything. And Wings of Death had actually shown Path of Exile on stream once or twice, and that was my first contact with Path of Exile. So when my friends talked about it, I already knew the game a little bit, like had seen that it's a Diablo 2 clone and that it's very attractive. And I never got into Diablo 2 completely because at the time I was living with my mom and I never had internet. So yeah, I just digged around a little bit, but there was never like a struggle because you just cheat your way through the game, kind of, with hex editors and stuff. And it quickly became boring back in the day, but I always liked the theme of the game and the feeling, the music, the artworks and everything. And I recognized a lot of that, same feeling in Path of Exile directly from the beginning. Obviously, people at GGG are big fans of Diablo 2. So when I started, I was during the ongoing Rampage and Bloodline leagues, and I did start in Standard League with my friends. We did one playthrough of the game, made characters that eventually hit a brick wall, probably even before maps. And a friend of mine who had already played a couple of times, give me a second, I'm trying to fix the player here, which had been
Getting
loading
buff.
for a while. Oh god. Yeah, best multitasking computer. Okay, now we can watch you doing Path of Building stuff. Um, so yeah, one of my friends made it to maps with a freeze pulsar, and I was just sticking around. And then eventually, I started playing hardcore because my friends teased me and said that I wouldn't even make it to 50 in hardcore. So my very first serious hardcore character directly made it to 50 because I was playing super safe and was playing like a elementalist trapper. I mean, not elementalist, tri-elemental trapper with a lightning
Oh, yep.
trap and fire trap, just rotating through the traps. And I was actually a scion. I had no idea of the game, but it was fun. And so, relatively directly after that, there was when the leagues ended a 2-week Rampage Bloodlines race, and that was super fun to play. Not did I say Bloodlines all the time? I meant Beyond. Actually, Beyond was the hardcore league, and Rampage was the softcore league at the time. So when they did the 2 weeks race, Rampage, Beyond, that was a super good combination because Beyond, spawns mobs when you kill a lot at the same time at the same spot, and Rampage rewards you for killing a lot of mobs at the same time. It just really worked well together. And that got me really hooked on hardcore, even though Beyond at the time was super OP and super unbalanced.
Right.
And would just kill you oftentimes without you knowing what killed you. Like these instant spawns and detonate deads and stuff like that.
Yeah, it still does that.
But yeah, I've been drawn to hardcore ever since. I did when I didn't have that much time to play. I also played 2 leagues of softcore just because I wanted to refamiliarize myself with the end game. That was around Breach and Legacy League, and then I was always looking forward to going back to playing hardcore when I would have more time to play the game actually. And eventually I did come back to hardcore in the races and the Harbinger League and everything. And so what am I focusing on? Mostly on surviving and not surviving and releveling a lot of characters because I suck at the game, and especially I'm new to streaming, so oftentimes I'll do big mistakes in terms of how to distribute my attention between the different things. But yeah, since when have you actually been streaming Path of Exile? It's something I don't actually know. I don't know when you started. I know you were already around when I started.
I started I think it was about midway through Harbinger, maybe. It might have been toward the beginning. I'd have to check. But it was definitely during Harbinger League. I ended up farming doctors, and that's sort of how I when I put the Windripper guide out there, and I think it was when I dropped 4 doctors in one stream where I sort of got a spike in the streaming type thing. Like people started to come in, see what I was up to with MF, things like that. And originally, I never really thought I would stream video games. I was always more of a writer. Like I'd try to write. I would um, take part in NaNoWriMo. If anyone's familiar with that, it's National Writing Month. It happens every November. You have to write a certain amount of words, and that's considered a book. And then they have charts to keep track of words per day, and if you're gonna make it, and if you're not. I always made it, but when I actually partook. But that was more about pumping out numbers. I always checked my words to see if I was on point, and it wasn't even like that. I was enjoying writing the story. I was enjoying the numbers showing up and cranking up my average and all of that. And it took me a long time to realize that something like Path of Exile could actually be beneficial if I could shift my perspective on why those numbers mattered, how I was gaining them, and to sort of put a positive light onto that instead of worrying about how much I was gaming, because if I was gaming, I wasn't writing, and that was a huge conflicting thing going on in my life, and So yeah, that's when I started to stream, was when Wes was just like, man, you should just turn on the camera and do what you're doing right now, because it's good shit. You just got to actually record it and show other people how to do this. And I was like, all right, dude, I'll just do it. And then I fell in love with it as soon as I got a few viewers in chat, just people who came back here and there, and just getting familiar with the community and then becoming a part of it. I actually felt like I belonged somewhere for once, instead of just being alone typing and checking my word count every 10 minutes. Because that was pitiful. Like, I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I can imagine. I have a similar experience with the desk job that I did. I did customer service agent for a large logistics company, international, last year, and it was terrible. I was just sitting there all day because I never really knew what I wanted to do growing up. I just always knew, you end up in a place where you didn't want to be in the first place because you didn't make up your mind where you want to be. But I just, that didn't help me. I mean, I did study for a couple of years, made my bachelor degree, didn't know what to do with it, didn't know what to, do with the masters, and eventually came back to Germany in 2015, had to find a job, and, ended up September 2016 picking up that desk job. And, I was always thinking I want to do something else than sitting on the computer. So before I was always doing kitchen jobs. So because of the simple idea that, if I work on a computer all day, then I'm not going to have joy in spending my spare time at home at the computer. But I loved, playing computer games. So I really wanted to do something else. That's why I pursued the kitchen shit stuff. And when that showed to be without perspective in the long run, I did the customer service because it was, just there, but it didn't really work for me either. And I had always been streaming Path of Exile because, as a hardcore player, you kind of want to have a VOD of when you die.
Right.
And
yeah.
It was always like there was this huge fascination with being able to stream. Whether you're a good player or a bad player, it doesn't matter, because you'll still be entertaining when you have interesting rip clips, right? So
Right.
I already in the early days, I had a different Twitch account with a different name, and streamed my gameplay occasionally, but I didn't have any clue about the game or streaming, so it was really hard to do either on a high level. But no, as I got better at racing and stuff, I figured that that's really what I want to do in the long run. I want to become good at the game and put my experiences from the game into something that other people can work with, something that helps other people, like, build guides, something like that. So when the job ended, I started streaming in September, and I've been growing the stream a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like Twitch is a great place to be. That's definitely. What do you want to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I remember when I first started to watch you, you had like 7 viewers or something, or 8, and I dropped in, and then one day I just dropped by and you had like 30 or something, and it was just like, it was such a
I must have had a
difference.
big house then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, even then, like, just like the difference between 5 or 7 compared to 20 is huge. Like, that means that you're actually up there a little bit, you know what I mean, on the charts. And that's sort of how it starts, you
Honestly,
get a
I
host.
think the bigger difference is in the mood within the stream and the chat. I felt like back in the day, like 2 years ago, when I did my occasional streaming of my gameplay, new leagues and stuff, I felt that it was really hard to keep myself talking all the time because I was literally talking to no one. And now when you have the feeling of you always have like 7 to 20 people in your chat, then there's always someone you're talking to. It's way easier. I don't know. It's really hard for me to keep talking when I have no audience to address, when I know at least a little bit of my viewers that are already there, and I know a little bit of their preferences. Then there's so many things that pop into my mind that I want to talk about to them when that I want to talk about too. No, I want to talk about to them. Yeah, no, it was correct. Sometimes my brain tells me I
Yes.
said something wrong and then I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously I had some great Gamer for Life rip clips and some minor success in the races, and that's been helping the stream grow a
Yeah,
little bit.
you got a demi, didn't you?
Yeah, but only fifth.
Yeah.
Fifth to
That doesn't
seventh.
matter. It still counts. Better than what I did. So I got like 90 in SSF hardcore during Mayhem, I think was my best.
Mm.
But I did it. I got to 90 in hardcore, so I was pretty happy. That was my
Yeah,
goal.
that's already pretty much of a lot of an what? Okay, it's pretty much an achievement. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Because you remember the rip clip that I had during Mayhem? It was like on that Blight Berserker. I just like leap slam or shield charged into like 3 invasion bosses or something, and it just blew up.
Yeah, exactly. That one was funny. It was on the Blood Aqueduct, right?
Yeah, and I was talking
I
about how good
remember.
the logout macro was. You just die.
that was a glorious clip. So yeah, we have on our notes here the question: what are your goals in the near future? That's, I think, the only thing from this section that we haven't covered yet. Is there any goals that you have in regards to streaming or playing Path of Exile in the near future?
Well, I mean, streaming, like one of my main goals was to be on a podcast or to host one myself. So we're getting that done like right now. So
Awesome.
that's a stepping stone. Actually getting off my ass and trying to like, you know, to make sure that it goes well and to put time into it to actually do it instead of being like, hey, Catmaster, do you one day want to do a podcast? And then just having that there for like, you know, 2 or 3 months or something.
Well,
I'm glad that we're actually doing it.
it has to, you know, to mature. You have to put
Yep.
the idea into a box and let it ferment.
Yep. Let it ferment.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah. But goals for the future, like just with the stream in general or within PoE, I want to bring up my PoE bossing skills for sure. I want to be able to help out, like, you know, people that need the achievement for Uber at Zeri, like to actually do it confidently. Because I go in there and I usually just waste their set and then I reimburse them their set and I feel kind of silly. But I feel bad if I can't do something like that, or if someone's just like, hey, I need an Uber lab carry and like, you know, I have a few extra minutes or something. I like to be able to do that and to have the skill set for that. And most of my skill sets are built around being an effective mapper to pump out currency. And I'm also working on crafting. That's something else that I'm trying to do. I've recently crafted a few like 1 to 2x jewels, just like wander stuff or claw stuff. Trying to roll my own crit multi jewels for the auto bomber.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
trying to
heard
bust
jewel
into craft.
crafting is super lucrative this league.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you spend like 100 chaos on alts and then you make like 4 1x jewels and you're just like, okay. You just have to spend time clicking on them and like getting good at recognizing the popular roles.
Which is basically just looking at the level requirement.
Yeah. Well,
if
sometimes
if you're on Abyss Jewels, that's
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep, for the most part, yep. But yeah, I think those are the goals. And then like I want to keep growing the channel, of course. And to try to keep building up the chill atmosphere. And recently I reworked my stream overlay and that feels really good now. Like I actually like seeing my stream like in the state that it's at right now. It's actually enjoyable instead of just like, you know, there.
Yeah,
I
I've
feel
seen
like,
it. It's pretty good. It's in a way it's similar to many streams with a widescreen and then having a bar on the bottom, but you actually make the effort of using like a background picture and arranging things neatly and not just having like white text on black background that looks like someone just did that in MS Paint.
MS Paint. Yep. Yep.
No, I
like
it.
You what?
Just wanted to say I like it. I saw it earlier and it looks really professional, like almost.
And like once I get a widescreen, I can actually just transition my setup. You know what I mean? Because I want one eventually. You know, once we get a little bit more budget for the household. So that's probably something else I could go over. Is just like the streamer house that we live in a little bit. Like it's kind of crazy, but But yeah, like I live with a couple other guys. We all like stream and do like creative stuff. Like we got an artist, we've got 2 music guys, and then we've got me. I'm the only guy in the house who can't play the keyboard that you see in the background there.
It's so
It's
easy though.
awesome.
Learn the Song of Storms, like the windmill hut from Zelda.
Oh yeah,
That's really easy. I started with that and it was
nice,
really fun. And those was
nice,
3 things that I learned on piano while I was studying for 3 years, because
nice.
all
One
the
song per year.
performance students were like using the pianos all the time, so I could only hop in for 5 minutes in between the lessons or stuff like that to jump on a real piano. And I don't really enjoy playing plastic keyboards, or like it has to feel really good. The keyboard has to have weighted keys, and
Yeah,
you know,
weighted.
like
Yep, I was about to say.
otherwise it's not fun for me. It's weird. Like technically, you know, you can just hook up some freeware program and play on your actual keyboard, you know, on your physical keyboard, but it's not
Right,
fun to play on mechanical keyboard keys. There's
right.
no velocity, and like, so yeah,
Yeah, there's no feedback,
yeah,
really.
nothing. It's really weird. But yeah, I mean, similar here, I'm also living with a bunch of other people, but we're not, you know, sharing a budget or anything, and there's no one streaming. But there's people doing art. There's one guy working night shifts in a security. It's like very diverse here and very
Huh.
open. And my goals would also be obviously growing the stream, making it a thing where I can actually see a tendency towards it being, you know, a perspective in the future, like that I can live off that. I mean, I'm not someone who needs a lot of money, so I think it's going in the right way, and maybe next year it will be fine. And definitely what I want to do is I want to grow the YouTube, because I made this one White Wind Frostblades guide actually at the end of Abyss League, after that had been my most successful hardcore character so far. And that one was massively successful. Like, people have been telling me beforehand, you know, you should really, if you want to grow your stream, you also have to grow your YouTube, because your YouTube views directly feed into your stream. And I never believed people, and I was like, it's not going to work for me. But that build guide just really showed me that that's what I have to do. Like, maybe not as much as people try to tell me, maybe not like 5 videos a week, but like definitely one every 2 weeks. If it's just one every 2 weeks, but if it's a quality video like my guide, and that's really not a lot of production quality, I can still make it a lot better if I learn a proper program. Then I feel I can make content that people enjoy, because I've been getting an overwhelming amount of positive feedback with that. So that's pretty awesome. Um,
Yep.
I didn't want to let myself get distracted by chat, but I feel like we just
We
got a
got,
Demigod King host.
yeah,
So
Demigod.
thanks,
Yep.
Demigod King, for the host. If you guys are unfamiliar with Demigod, he's a big YouTube content creator for Path of Exile, doing some amazing standard league crafting. Go and check that out.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
noticed.
that's the direction I want to go into, some YouTube
Yeah,
content creation. That would be awesome, because
yeah,
I feel like I
you're
have a lot of things to tell. I've been also talking about for weeks now about wanting to make this Wise Oak instructional video about, you know, what the Wise Oak flask can do and how you most efficiently can get your resists balanced. I'll definitely make that, because I know there's a bunch of people looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know that your guide's really popular because I had one guy in my chat following it. And then they recognized your name from my chat, and I was just like, "Yep."
That was a golden moment, because I was actually sitting in your chat chilling. I think I hosted you before, or I came after I hosted someone else, and then the guy was asking you about the build, like something. Like, dude, I'm doing this Frostwind guild. Not. I have problems with single target. Can you help me? I was like, after you asking him directly. So what's your level? What gear are you using? He's like, oh my god, it's your build.
Right? Yeah. So good.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people. I never imagined that it would become that big. So yeah, and basically since then I've been slacking. I need to, because I'm not happy with the production progress. I need to process. I need to find a new program. I was using Lightworks, but I'm not happy with how it works. It's a great program, but I can't work with it. Doesn't have the workflow as I imagine it, but it could be good if I put like 100 hours into it, but I don't have
Yeah,
time for that.
I've been exploring like Vegas right now. Like I've been using that to make YouTube videos, and the last one I made, the thick Righteous Fire MF jug, like it turned out pretty well.
Oh, you made a guide for that build already for your league
Yeah.
starter.
Yep, for the league starter.
That's
There
that's a
was
perfect segue into the league, because now
there we
we're
go.
saying, oh, what were you doing in the league so far?
Okay.
So
So
you can
yeah, I can
directly
start with
talk about
that.
that.
Okay. So I started off as Righteous Fire MF Thick Jug. It originally was supposed to be a Berserker. I didn't foresee the rage mechanic working against me so much. I didn't realize how often the 5 rage would stack up every time you use a war cry. And then if you get hit during combat, or I think if you hit even, it refreshes the rage. So you would constantly have the degen from that, which adds up to like 5% of your total life. It's insane.
I was just
So I
looking.
had
There's no
to
VODs anymore of that build, sadly.
no, it's gone. But yeah, so I started with that, and I transitioned to Juggernaut since the regen was insane and the survivability was awesome. I also used the accuracy node from Jug, and that helped a lot with Elemental Overload. I just put like increased crit strikes on my gem on my glove setup, and it was just nice. It was such a good league starter. I ended up getting my Calms early, and after that, the build was cheap. So I did that until I saved up enough currency for my auto bomber. I grinded out channels for the most part on my RF character. I did a little bit of volcanoes. I think I found 3 cards in about 60, 70 maps, which is pretty good, but I wasn't able to sustain shaped volcanoes because it would always go +1 to shaped channels. And I was just like, well, I like channels better anyway. It's a more fun layout for me. So I transitioned into that. I still have like 300 humility cards from that farm. I had 500 or 600,
Wow.
but Egnart's one of my friends. He went wild and he just bought divines from me right on the spot, and I just traded him 9 humility cards each turn. So he had to turn the cards in, which made it better for me, I think.
Yeah, it saved you a lot of time. You had to turn the cards in and vendor the tabula.
So that was
Did he
awesome.
corrupt them, or did he not gamble?
No, he didn't gamble with it. He just wanted the divine orbs, so he just did it the safe way. Because I think he wanted the divine orb to reroll like a crit Watcher's Eye or something, anyways. So he was going for that 1.8% crit. So after I saved up about like, I don't know, I think I started with about 11 or 12x for the auto bomber. I transitioned into that, and I've been like min-maxing that build a lot so far, and it's been a blast. I found 5 doctors in about 500 burial chambers,
Wow.
and yeah, so the RNG has been pretty good. I think I'm almost on the level of Norse at the moment. I'm channeling that vibe, just Alkin going on the maps and not chiseling and such. It's been saving me a lot of money. I've been volleying, and it's turned out all right. Like I roll up about 60 maps, brick 10 of them um, to relic chambers, which are just awful. Shaped relic chambers are. I think I have like 50 of them right now on my map stashed up. About to start pitching them. Sometimes I get to use them because I need to spread the Elder Corruption back down. So occasionally I do run them, but normally it doesn't keep up. Like they're still stacking up. But that's pretty much what I've been doing, is just min-maxing that farm, figuring out the way to put like the least amount of currency into the maps and gain back the most. So that's what I've been working on. And vol orbing's actually been pretty good so far. You get a lot of like 110+% maps just from corrupting it with no chisels, and that's just it's amazing with the sextants and whatnot. Especially when you hit like the unit 1 and breach at the same time. Like you just drop a doctor. It's insane.
Nice. Well, for me, it's quite the opposite. I've been spending a lot of time in the early game. Because so what I did, I went really hard the first 2 days. Rolled a assassin, Wait, let me think. Rolled an assassin, ethereal knife / blade vortex character, and pushed hard. So at the end of day 2, kind of, or beginning of day 3, I was rank 2 assassin at the time, and I think just about rank 400 overall. And I was about to really, get into pushing because the character was going well. We had just 5-linked Cherubim's Maleficence chest piece, and I didn't benefit from the increased chaos damage on top of it, but it's a really nice hybrid evasion armor piece with a nice life roll, and it does have the increased life leech per second, so it does help a lot, especially early league. And yeah, that was a pretty nice character, but I pushed it too hard, and then I died at rank 2 of the assassin ladder because I didn't read reflect. That was the first time that I didn't read my reflect map, or didn't read that mod on the map, and it was the kind of the climax of a series of deaths that I've been having now, where I didn't read my map mods properly. Like, yeah, just not pay enough attention, because in Abyss, my Frostwind died to a 170% increased AoE Dominus Touch of God.
Oh no!
If I just had read that and dashed into the right direction, I would have not died. And then also there was a couple of other map mod related deaths that I don't think I need to talk about now. But gotcha. I definitely learned my lesson, I think. But I was raging hard after that death, because I kind of find it stupid that reflect on maps is still in the game, and I don't see the point at this point of the game. Like, after they took reflect away from the rares, there's like no reason at all anymore to stack reflect immunity in a build. So the only point to reflect maps in the game is the occasional one-shot, and that builds that deal chaos damage or have physical permanent immunity or shenanigans like that, get a free map mod. But I think that map mod should be revised or removed, because it's just pretty stupid at this point, I feel. And in the beginning, I after that death, I tried to re-level and died a couple of times because I was too ragey. And then later on in the streams, I think I wanted to make a Spark Inquisitor. Pretty stupid deaths there, interacting with chat and failing to log out here and there in rippy situations. Then I made Occultist Blade Vortex characters. With Obliteration was the plan, Chaos Conversion, not damage over time, not like Rice QT and TarkyCat played this Blade Vortex Decay build with Obliteration, and I was just full converting and getting extra damage based off the Fizz. So I was putting the Shadows and Dust Gloves for Unholy Might on Rampage, and obviously at Series Flask. And in the end, even without at Series Flask, I did more chaos damage than physical damage with the dual wield Obliteration. But yeah, while leveling that character, I died once to Game Crash, and then I killed that character actually to a map boss when I didn't have the Leech Flask up, because at Series Flask was my only source of Leech. Oof. And then, so basically the only character with which I made it back into the game. After that, I took some time off and did rage practice, and died all the time trying to level. I was like, well, I'm gonna try to go through the progression fast and learn to be faster. And I did improve my Brutus time, I did improve my Act 1 time, probably even my Oversoul times. And I'm probably gonna do that soon again, because, as soon as racing starts again, or if it starts again ever, I wanna be in form. I wanna be able to compete, at least at an amateur level. And yeah, but now I'm playing a dual wield Reaver character block as a Scion, which is
nice.
It's a struggle, really, because it's harder to get your block and spell block capped than as a gladiator, obviously, with the mini gladiator only. But it's been fun to play. Maybe I have some footage still here somewhere. Oh no, wait. Why am I?
No.
Here we have footage of the build. But yeah, I hope I don't die too fast. but yeah, where were we? Yeah, that's basically been my league. I pushed ladder, died in the ladder, decided I'll take it casual after dying again while re-leveling, deciding to do some race practice, and now I'm back in the end game. So my Atlas looks like hell. It's not really unlocked. I haven't really had any Elder yet. I don't have a Shaper's Orb. I'm completely
Oh, geez.
scrubbed, but I'm just chilling in the league, and it's okay now. Now that they did the improvements and everything. In the beginning, I was hating on it hard, but now I actually started liking the league. Yeah, it's to sum it up, it started pretty meh, and now it's how should I say it? I think they did a good job increasing the window again. Like in the beginning, they had like a 1 second window between throwing the net and you being able to still damage the monster before it decides whether it breaks free or is captured. So now with 3 second window, it feels really comfortable actually to throw a net into DPS. It works well and it does what it's supposed to do, I guess. And now most recently, I mean, I only played like 4 hours after that change in my morning session today, but they improved the drop of yellow monsters, right? And it's insane. Like yellow bestiary monsters now drop like
Yeah, I killed one and it dropped 2/6 sockets and I was like, sample size is small, but it seems good.
Well, you don't have to kill them. Also, if you just capture them,
right.
they drop it. And
Well, that's what I meant. Like killed, captured, same.
They drop way more loot than map bosses, which is kind of hilarious at this point, because map boss loot has been a meme now for the last couple of leagues. And the funniest thing is, like, everyone says it's not worth to kill map bosses, yet everyone strives to kill map bosses. Like,
right.
when you're doing your build, everyone wants to know, can it do bosses? It's like, does it matter? Except for a league starter, obviously, where you have to unlock everything.
Yeah, that's what I did with my league starter with the Righteous Fire Jug. I was able to clear Hydra with that, with MF gear on. It was insane. Like I carried Hydra for me and Egnarts, the guy that I was doing Atlas completion with. We pooled together money and just split the cost 50-50. And I was able to clear Hydra, and I almost cleared Forge, but I got a carry just because I didn't want to waste all of my XP. Like, softcore problems. If you die a bunch of times, you lose a lot of XP.
Wait, so you split the map so that you don't die more than 2 times, because then we won't have any portals left, or?
No, I meant like we split the cost of the overall maps. Like
okay.
Everything from like tier 12 up to like tier 15, we just calculated how much it costs to roll the maps and purchase the maps and whatnot. And then we plan on doing the same thing next league and so on, just so we have a better start, I guess. But it was fun. So are we going to goals for this league?
Actually, yeah, I think we pull ahead the league mechanics, because I already started dipping into league mechanics and opponents.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So what is your experience with the league mechanics so far? What do you think about beast mods, the beast crafting, risk, investment, reward, and so on?
Well, as far as the mechanics go, the character that I'm like on my Righteous Fire character, it was pretty fun because I would be able to walk up and be like, okay, net, and then I can, burn them down with RF or whatever. With Auto Bomber, I kill the yellow mobs before I see them, and I know that's my build's fault, not the league's fault. So I understand. It's just something. Yeah, it's like it's what I have to pay. It's the price that I pay for running a high clear speed build. But I'm not just gonna call it a shit mechanic just because of my build and how it works. You know what I mean? Like that's unfair. And I think people taking that stance are a little silly in that regard. But as far as like when I actually get to interact with a beast such as the red beast, they're challenging for me because I have to shield charge in the right way. Otherwise, I die. Like they just kill me. Or I won't be able to DPS them fast enough. Like if I don't have flash charges, like I have to dip in and out. And that's actually fun and challenging for me. I've been having a lot of enjoyment derived from that. Yeah, and then I will. Oh,
if I can hook in there, like I think what you just said is challenging. I think the mobs are actually the balance is spot on with that. And I think no one has said that so far, or at least I haven't heard that. People are always very vocal about how the mechanic is shit, how the netting is shit, how the rewards are shit. But the mods themselves, like if you think of it in terms of Nemesis mods or Bloodlines mods, the Bestiary mods on the mobs themselves, they are really well made and well balanced. Like most of them are reasonably scary, especially in combination on the red ones, and I think I had a lot of fun fighting them so far, because especially the red ones don't just drop over. The yellow ones, I think they have improved a little bit. Like they have increased the HP along with the drops a little bit, maybe in two separate patches. But now what it is they're more tanky than they were in the beginning in the league of the league, and they also drop more than the beginning of the league. I think they drop a little bit too much, but that's just me. Maybe the GGG just wants to make up for it, that the first half of the league was underwhelming. They just want to give something back to people now. Right. I wonder whether they drop Shaper or Elder bases in Shaper Elder influenced maps, because they drop a lot of rare loot, especially in an MF build. But what did I want to say? But the mods themselves, again, are really good. This Putrid Flight, every time that thing comes and splatters on that green stuff, that green ooze, and you're like, it's like really beautifully made. They put a lot of effort into Menagerie, like the visuals of the Bestiary book and the Einhar things. I think everything is really beautifully made. It's like Prophecy 2.0. In the sense that it's beautifully made, it's a nice theme, nice intention, but it actually doesn't serve well as a league mechanic. It's a great addition to the game, especially when it will be a permanent addition, and where you can choose to ignore it if you don't want to play around it. But just right now it feels a little bit underwhelming, because if you're not doing that, you're basically playing a vanilla PoE. That's the problem with it right now, that there's really no underlying league mechanic.
Yeah, and it's messed with the economy too. Like, there's one person from my chat that used to roll flasks, for example, for early league profits and stuff.
Oh, they would sell, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and so like they were under the impression that they'd be able to like, sell these flasks, kind of get their build going early, because that's how they've done it for the last like 2 leagues or so. And they just got completely blindsided, and they got set behind. And
did they actually end up crafting flasks, like investing into it before they knew that they wouldn't get return?
I don't think so. Okay. I think they noticed like the first day that they saw the mods, and they knew instantly like, this is gonna ruin this. I'm only gonna have like 2 flask out now, like 2 flask rolls that are hit rather than 15. Just the numbers just get drastically cut down. And yeah, I have the same impression of it just being like, kind of a mix between like Essence and Prophecy League like 2.0, where like you get some crafting, you get some interactions in the maps, but like you can almost ignore it. Like even I took off Thermonets from my filter. The only thing I have on my filter now are necro nets, because that's how I usually catch them.
They're worth like a chaos.
Yeah. So like I might put thermonets back on there, but only to sell them in bulk probably, like, and to have them for my character, I guess. I've been trying to interact with it more. My auto bomber, this guy here, can't really do anything in the zoo. So I usually jump on my RF character and spend like, 20-30 minutes there messing around with different mods and exchanging for a different unique. It's basically like a souped up version of the 5-for-1 prophecy, right? I've got like a barracks grip off of that. It was like 15C or something, and I was like, cool. And
I actually got a pariah this league. I don't even remember where I got it from. But I was too scared to corrupt it because it was 20C. I was like, it would be such a huge return. But if you just break it down, you're like, well, there's like 4 different outcomes, right? First, there's nothing. It's still it's worthless because people can't corrupt it anymore. And second, you get implicit corrupt, you lose the socket. It's worthless. Then you get what was the other one? It bricks into a rare. It's worthless most of the time. And then only like 25% of all cases you get the white socket, and it's probably not worth it. It just was like a safe sale, 20 kills.
Yep. Yeah, in softcore early, I picked one up for like 12C or something like early, like second or third day, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just do it this once because I know these things are about to shoot up to 45 chaos in softcore. They always do." So
Okay.
I brick it, and it goes to like a no socket, and I'm just like, "Fuck." List
Yeah.
it for 999 exalts for the memes, sure.
Oh god.
um, but yeah, I think that it's an okay league. I'm still having fun. I'm setting goals that I haven't set before as far as like auto bombing and stuff. Like it's a different character. I min maxed Wind Ripper last season, so I wanted to step back from that, and it's been a blast, man. Like I've had a lot of fun doing maps and just playing the game, even if it's like a standard type of experience a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to interact with the bestiary mechanics now because I figure if they're there, I might as well try. So some of the bosses can still be really rewarding, like even if you
Yeah.
hit the chess piece.
Yeah,
And
exactly. No, I haven't seen any of the end game bosses for Beaststuff yet, so that's
yeah,
probably also one of those parts that makes it better than Prophecy, right? I mean, it
right.
still
Like
comes
there are
with a
some
lot of content.
bosses.
It's a lot more.
Yeah. Because that list is huge, man. Like if you scroll down it, like if you've captured some beasts, like it's a book, man.
Yeah, the good
It's
thing they
insane.
implemented the search function there.
Right. Oh yeah. For sure.
But yeah, there's still a lot of problems with the league, right? I mean, there's like the monsters inherit the map mods, so basically there's no even though you can sell the beasts into orbs, there's no beast trading in hardcore because people could just trade you a reflect beast or like a beast from Poor Joyce, and you'll just
What?
die trying to fight it because it
Oh
inherits the
my
map
god.
mods, right? So you just imagine like a red monster from a Poor Joyce in your menagerie.
Are
So
you serious?
there's virtually no beast trading in hardcore because of
Oh
that,
my god.
or like a monster out of a reflect map,
That's
and
so
you don't know it
cutthroat.
because you don't see the mods on the monster.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even think about that, man. That is so like you have to have like a totem build or something like and
Yeah.
even or like righteous fire like I don't even know, man. That's insane.
Mm.
That's outrageous. I don't even accept that.
Yeah. Yeah, but they already said that they learned a lot from the league and how it went out and everything, and they said, like, what did they say explicitly? They made significant improvements to their league development process or something like that. So I see like Slipnoshianis in chat just suggests that they do like at least a 2 days beta with pre-selected players or like even with the alpha players, like something. But yeah, there was really some things that seemed like not very thought about.
Yeah, I think it would have been a lot more accepted if we didn't have, like, for example, right? If they had hammered out the 3 second thing prior to the league, right?
Yeah.
Then they would have chances to fine tune other things that they can't now because they're focusing on the new league, right?
Yeah.
But they could take a look at something like the hardcore trading and actually showing the beasts mods and stuff before you trade them. Like they would have been able to do one, like basically the patches would have shifted over by one, so they could actually do other improvements. You know what I mean? Like, and then I think that bestiary could be in a really good state, or at least a really solid state. Like we would have gotten different changes now. Like these changes that we're getting right now would have been hammered out prior to the league release, and then we would have even better changes
Yeah.
with this last patch. And I
Yeah.
think if they can just work toward that direction every time, it would be good. But we'll see what happens, you know.
Well, I'm confident. Like I was really happy with Abyss League. I mean, there was also some things that were not correctly tuned in the beginning, but on the whole, that was a great league. Even
Oh
though,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, that whole meme thing with the liches not spawning and everything. But I had a lot of fun, is what I'm trying to say. A lot more than I'm having right now. Right now, I think I'm personally just gonna play the league as if it was, not I'm not gonna no life it as hard as Abyss. I'm gonna try to focus more on making a good stream, interacting with people when they're there, and just trying out things, practicing. maybe, unlocking the Atlas a little bit, hopefully, with that character as soon as I get it going. So,
Right.
like, so to practice for future leagues. And yeah, I think now we're at the point where what do you think of Bestiary as a permanent addition to the game? Like when the league ends and they will roll it into the game, it will go core, like presumably like Prophecy did, or other previous leagues. Yeah, we're already hinted at our opinion there, but it will be in a good spot. Or what would you say?
I think that it's interesting because some of the like aspect of the eagle, aspect of the cats, I think that's good to have those boss uniques and those types of things, sort of like Breach, where even if you have to craft it on your map or do something else to get that item, it can be build enabling. And
Yeah, it can be chase.
yeah, even if the league itself or the mechanics aren't something that I want to interact with a lot, if I want to experiment with said uniques and the league is passed, like, I didn't have a chance to do it during the league, hey, I get to try it again later if it's in a permanent addition to the game. And I think that's okay. I'm okay with it. I'm not excited. Like, I'm not like, ooh, it'll be added to the game, but like, I'm down for it. I think that it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think it will be a really great addition to the game, especially for people who like it, and people who don't like it will be able to ignore it because it won't be like the main theme of a league where you'll feel like you're left out if you don't do it. It will be really great for some people to farm that stuff and to provide those uniques or the entrance ticket beasts to the boss fights for other players in the end. And it's really funny because people were always giving GGG shit for implementing a mechanic like this in a game that is about clear speed and killing things. But everyone always wanted them to implement fishing, even if it's just like a little mini game. And I think this is the perfect implementation of fishing into Path of Exile, because it's still not deviating from the concept of kind of reducing mobs' HP and doing damage to them. But it's a little bit fiddly, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like the feeling now how it is with throwing a net and reducing them to 0. It feels really empowering.
Right. Yeah, like when I actually interact with the mechanics and they go well, like I can throw, like basically what I have to do with the widescreen, I was able to do it better. Like when I had 1/3 of my screen, 1/3 of my overlay as my gameplay, right? I was able to see the beast from about a mile off, so I could just throw the net, and I can't do that normally. I have to have the widescreen with Auto Bomber, but I was actually able to do it.
Wait, there's no limit on how far you can throw the net? The net?
Well, like I could get vision on them a lot more, and I could click on them like R, like my net throw is.
Oh yeah, before you were in trigger radius, so when they were still standing still. Yeah, okay.
So I was able to cheese it. So that was fun. But like it's still good now with the changes to yellows. I think I'll be able to kill them a lot more often, and not kill them, capture them. Sorry. I'll kill them less, hopefully. Or I'll kill them in the zoo, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think with the changes to the patch notes, I'm going to try to interact with that a lot more. And I think as a permanent addition to the game, I'm okay with it. Like I'm not.
Well, it just opens up a new field for people like to specialize into. That's what I really like about Path of Exile, is that there's so many things to do that you can't possibly do all of them. Like at least not on one character, and that keeps the game fresh throughout the league and even throughout many leagues, because you can be like, well, this league I want to do an early lab farmer and provide people with the enchants and get myself fat stacks of loot and rush people, and then next league I want to make like a beast farmer who traps the beasts and sells them.
Yep. It has to be a trapper, though, right?
Has to be a trapper for the memes.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Only way.
Speaking of that, I saw the other day. I didn't check out the stream, but Slippery Jim was actually leveling from 1 to 70 exclusively using nets. Like he was just throwing nets, like high-level nets, instantly capture low-level mobs. You don't have to damage them, right? So he's just running through them through the game, netting everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I still have to check that out.
Oh my god.
It sounded like a great
That's really
idea,
good.
like something you can do with your, leftover mid-tier nets that you're never going to use anymore. That most people
Right.
already vendored and traded them up, but I still have also
Right.
hundreds of low-level mid-tier nets in my currency tab. So yeah, I think
That's priceless.
in that context of people prophecy farming, Uber Atziri farming, Uber Lab farming, like for everyone there's a little special field where they can specialize into and feel that they're doing great at that, and they're filling a niche in Path of Exile, a needed niche, and they're how you say that, a valued member of the community.
Right,
Like
yeah.
some
Yep.
people rush the masters, like Dawdle and Ectors always in
Oh
hardcore rush the
yeah.
masters early on, and that's just their thing. That's how they make their currency. That's how they start their league, and that's how they identify within the Path of Exile community. So that's really cool. And in the same way, Bestiary will be just one more aspect of those, and hopefully next league will be another aspect. I'm personally hyped about next league because GGG already hinted at it that it's and obviously it's going to be something completely different than this league. This league was just a weird experiment, so it's also not as bad as it could have gone. Like if you think of it, like I don't know, Prophecy was basically vanilla league with a couple more endgame encounters and
Right.
annoying backtracking for those early level
Yeah.
prophecies. Especially that was before they changed the game to 10 acts, but you had 3 acts and 4 acts in 3 different difficulties, and then the prophecies were bound to the difficulty. Where you're like, you can only fulfill this one in cruel, you can only
Yeah,
fulfill
that
this one in
was
normal. That was so annoying, and now it's so much smoother. So maybe Bestiary will feel better with future additions to the game as well.
right.
You
Yeah,
know,
because I remember back then, like you would get a twice enchanted and it'd be for Cruel Lab. And that was so annoying. That was so triggering to buy one of those by accident because you're gonna put it back up on the auction house and wait for the next guy to take it.
mm.
Uh, and it's rough. I'm glad that they changed that.
So I guess going into the next topic, with the background of the ascendancy changes, is there any new interesting builds that we've seen pop up that we thought about? How has the meta of build creation changed with or the context of the ascendancy changes? And I guess then there's this one big winner of the ascendancy changes, at least in terms of popularity, and that's obviously
Juggernaut.
the Juggernaut, the thick Jug
Yeah.
memes, it was previously already quite a beefy character that lent itself very well to farming the lab, and that people were repeatedly coming back to picking just for those thick lab farmers. And now it's just the mainstream all-round character in the game. Like there's just, if you're new to the game, if you're new in a league, if you don't have a lot of currency, what do you play? Tectonic or any sort of Jug, I feel.
Yeah, what kills me is that the meta switched from one Marauder class to the next. Like instead of Zerker Sunder, now you have
Yeah.
uh, Juggernaut. It's just a new poster child for the meta, I guess. But I mean, I like it. I like the change. I like it a lot. There's just a lot you can do, like crit, non-crit, elemental overload with that accuracy node. Like there's just a lot of different builds you can do with Juggernaut now, and even
That's
Righteous
true.
Fire. Like it's a versatile class. Like you can do a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah,
So
it just for the most part gives you generic beefiness and utility, right? Attack
right.
speed, accuracy is also in some way utility, especially for Righteous Fire build where you, yeah, no,
Cha-
it's pretty good.
Chaos resistance, which is really hard to get, especially in hardcore. Like
All right,
it's
it
way
gets
more
chaos
important.
res now.
Yep. Yeah, if you need it. Yep. Per endurance charge, you get like 4%
And
chaos res, I
AoE
think.
per endurance charge.
Yep.
It's, oh god.
It's so versatile, man. Like you could do Blade Vortex on that and it'd be all right.
Yeah. Brutality Blade Vortex.
Yeah. Like whatever you want to do, man. Like Juggernaut can do it right now. It's pretty interesting. I personally think that Chieftain is underrated right now. I want Chieftain to be really good. A lot of people are saying that it's bad, and I think that that physical conversion is so unique and awesome.
I think it's pretty good because you can play Namahu's now and completely not go Avatar of Fire.
Right. And like it gives that unique conversion that I've always wanted personally for Bladefall, for Blade Vortex, and for EK mainly. Um,
So
like I've always
would you
like
then
I
use that unique conversion to fire instead of the gloves or instead of the fist to lightning gem?
well, if you want to make it all fire, if you wanted to convert it all out to fire, it
Oh,
was
okay,
very
okay.
hard to
If you,
do.
yeah, no, that's
Right.
makes
Like
sense
so
in
that way,
conjunction with AOF. Yeah.
right. And like the reason why I always would want to do that is because you can put all of your eggs into one basket as far as penetration goes. So you can get the wise oak just balanced for fire. I know that comes back to me not being able to balance for wise oak. I understand. But also, just any other, you can slap fire pen into your gem setup, and you couldn't do that before really. You'd have to do a lot of workarounds with like, what is it? Ring of the Brotherhood,
Yeah, Call of the Brotherhood.
Moonbenders, and you'd have to transfer all of that to different elements and then go
Yeah,
Avatar of Fire.
yeah, and then you wouldn't be able
No,
to get it all
clear
into
maps.
fire, and you wouldn't be
Right.
able to clear maps.
Like,
You wouldn't be able to cap your resistances.
yeah, it's so bad. But yeah, I think that that's really good. I think that like face breakers could be really good, like face breaker, ancestral war chief totems, full conversion to fire, could be super strong still with chieftain. Like there's just a lot of options, and I don't think that people have really explored it. The one that I'm gonna go for eventually is gonna be a righteous fire character that uses blade vortex or EK, that uses mind over matter, blood rage, these things to drain it down with mind over matter, so that I can use distillate and make a really janky magic find build. I've talked about this, I think, to you and to my
Yeah.
stream from time to time, but I'll do it eventually, and I think that it'll be fun. I don't know if it'll be good.
Yeah, yeah, you're a fan of the divination distillate.
Yeah, it's my favorite flask, I think.
Now you can guess which one is mine. But that's only because I know how to balance my resists for it.
Oh no, the wise oak. Fuck, how did I miss it?
No, because I think the wise oak is great in many ways, but most of it, what I like is just it makes any sort of item with mediocre stats and some resists valuable in situations to people. Like if it's just on the market, eventually someone might buy it because he needs exactly those resists in order to get his balances.
Right.
So that in the same way as what was it, that unique chest out of rings, it does something to balance the market, right? We're going to talk about that chess piece later, but I think it's really interesting that unique rings now have a minimum buyout price because they're inherently linked to that recipe with which you can get the chess piece.
Right. Yeah, there's a direct correlation with the price of rings and that armor.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. My favorite flask is Alchemix Silver Flask of Adrenaline with 30% roll. Yeah, that's a good flask.
It's a pretty good flask.
Yeah, so I haven't seen all of the Ascendancy changes myself either because I'm also not, playing all the classes at the same time. But from my point of view, I feel that the Assassin has a really good spot now. With the changes to how it does single target damage when there's no nearby enemies, with the power charge generation, and especially with they removed the bleed from the Assassin's Ascendancy tree, and just the poison interactions remained. And there's no condition that enemies have to be bleeding in order to poison them. I think you get a straight up 40% chance to poison on hit with Assassin now, if you go the poison path on top, and you get a mini, or not mini, it's actually better than, the Wicked Ward Note from Occultist, exactly. Not Wicked Ward, the one after that. Vile Bastion. Where you get 0.5%, or now it's 1% of energy shield regenerated per second for each enemy you killed recently. Up to 30, so like when you killed 30 enemies recently, you get 30% of ES regenerated per second for the time that you killed them recently, so 4 seconds. And Shadow has the same for life. I mean, Assassin has the same for life. You get 1% or 0.5%. I'm not sure anymore. I think it's 1%. but it's not capped out at 30, I think. And also it's per poison on recently killed enemy. And as we all know, poison stacks infinitely. So if you kill like a huge pack, you can easily have like 100 stacks of that thing. So
Right.
I've yet to play around with that, but that seems super strong. It's definitely something I want to do, like some assassin poison build that clears really fast and gets a lot of regen that way. And yeah, other than that, I feel most enthusiastic talking about the Ascendant changes because Ascendant is actually one of my favorite classes, the Frostwind build, for which I made the build guide on YouTube. That has been really popular with the league start and with the new league now. I use the Ascendant, and I used it there as a mini assassin and mini slayer. And now I'm trying to explore different options. And so what I'm doing right now is a raider / gladiator. I'm having a lot of fun with just raider giving me that frenzy charge generation on single target. It's just so good to pick frenzy charges now. I mean, it's unchanged. It was like that before, but before I just always picked assassin over raider, and now assassin got a slight nerf in clear situations and a slight buff in boss situations because you get better power charge generation now. If I remember correctly, you get power charge on crit as well as mini assassin. And before, you'd only get power charges on hits against enemies on full life, so that would only be there while clearing, and in a boss situation your power charges would fall off. With the mini assassin ascendancy from the Ascendant. Oh, that sounds great. The mini assassin ascendancy from the Ascendant.
That alliteration though. So good.
Yeah, but now you get a little bit less base crit. So in the end, it pans out perfectly fine for the Frostwind build, because that one wasn't having no problems clearing and needed a little bit of a boost for bosses, which I think permanent uptime of power charges is better than that 0.5% base crit. And yeah, just on the whole, all the Scion Ascendancies seem to be more on a level. I haven't really played around with a lot of them, but they just all seem like more meaningful choices in between them. Where before, outside of meme builds or very special builds, you'd always do a combination of either Raider, Assassin, and Slayer. Now I feel you have more options within the Ascendant mini tree itself. Like Occultist, for instance, gives 1 additional curse and stun immunity while you have energy shield. So they gave away more of the ascendancy defining features for each of the mini ascendancies, which is really good. Give me just a second. You can talk about your stuff.
Okay, sounds good. So another thing that I've noticed too is like they've changed a lot of the ascendancies around, just slightly. So like, for example, Necromancer, I've heard Necromancer mains, like people that play Necromancer most of the time, have enjoyed the changes to a point. And I mean, maybe my sample size is small, but they were talking about how the Chaos Clouds were very confusing. If you were a Necromancer main and your minions died and they produced those Chaos Clouds, you never knew if they were yours or the zombies that you just killed.
Oh, right.
And yeah, so like now that's actually sort of a buff because you never have to think about it. But Necromancer also lost a bit of its versatility while gaining like maybe class like identity, I guess. But it's just weird the choices that they made as far as like taking away that offering so that you can't make a spellcaster max block Blade Vortexer for lab farming or something, like, or like if you wanted to do a Sibyl's Paw build, like they kind of took that away.
Well, they made it inefficient because you'll have to pick something minion specific as well if you want to be fully ascended. But they gave that offering thing to the mini ascendancy on the ascendant. So technically, if you were doing a block romancer, like a block blade vortex, then you'd do it as an ascendant now. You'd pick a necromancer on ascendant and something else, most likely.
And that's I think that's really good too, because Ascendant is supposed to excel at being like a jack of all trades or just being able to do a niche thing.
Yeah, or
And that
like
was sort
something
of
in
a niche
between.
thing.
Yeah,
So
but what I really don't like is they pigeonholed Necromancer further with that, right? I mean, now you
yeah, they did.
basically don't play Necromancer outside of a minion build because even
Right,
for a supporter build, it's kind of inefficient. You
right.
could
It's way
just
better to go champion or something
Guardian.
else now. Yep, Guardian. Yeah, Guardian. I mean, Guardian needed its spotlight too. I feel like people underrated it a lot sometimes.
It
But
it was still, I think, broken for mana or mana scaling or ES scaling builds, like in scaling
yeah,
builds. I think if you're doing Whispering Ice, Hands of Wisdom and Action, something like that, then or these new wands with the int scaling, then you'll in 90% of the cases you want to be a guardian. It's just so efficient. You get so much out of your
right.
energy shield and your mana.
Yep. But I'm glad that they're breaking up the meta in a sense for Necromancer, but it is sad to see like that it is one dimensional now. You are a Necromancer and you're summoning stuff. That's it. That's what you do. If you're a Necromancer, if you see that Necromancer sign on someone's profile, you know they're either like SRS, specters, or zombie. Like they're doing something,
Uh, uh,
So that is kind of sad. What other changes? I'm surprised that Inquisitor didn't get nerfed a little bit. Like just, I don't
well,
know.
I think Inquisitor was always a little bit overrated, to be honest, because yeah, you'd get the little bit of penetration for free when you went crit, but so you didn't have to invest anything into penetration. But if you're really investing into penetration, you can get a lot more resist penetration than an Inquisitor has on
Yeah.
paper.
My problem with that is that if you go Inquisitor, instead of doing a pen gem, for example, right, to get more damage in that aspect, you could put an increased crit strikes or increased crit multi or something in there to increase the damage even further, and then you're getting the pen too. You know what I mean? Like it's just hard.
Yeah, but you're never putting your enemies at negative resists. I mean, as inefficient as that sounds on paper,
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
it's still it's still the same damage that you gain if you put them at -25 that you'd gain if you put them from 75 to 25. It's just on the
Yeah.
pile of damage that you already have, it seems less, but it's still the same
Yeah.
amount of damage that you put on top.
Yeah, the way that I look at that too is like if you have one damage multiplier over here, like your penetration, and you're saying to stack more penetration, if as an Inquisitor you can add another more damage multiplier, that's another coefficient for your equation too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's better to add 30% more damage as a new variable than stack 30% more damage for pen because it's less effective that way.
yeah, yeah.
So like
Yeah, but
if
you
as an
don't you don't
Inquisitor,
you don't need a pen gem. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't need a pen gem to
yeah,
put most
yeah, I
enemies
got
at
you.
negative resists. Like
Yeah,
pen gem is like what 30 penetration or something like that, 30 something. And I feel in the Frostwind with just about threshold jewels and the Wise Oak up, I already had more than 50, I think.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And
Somewhere I
then you
had
can
something
still add
from.
another more damage multiplier in your setup as well compared to an Inquisitor. So I can understand that argument as
Yeah, the,
well.
the thing is, Inquisitor is overrated for single elemental builds because single element builds can easily
Yeah,
stack a lot of penetration. Just
yeah,
builds that deal all sorts of elements like the blade vortex conversion stuff with the gloves and things, and with Shaper stat sticks where you get all sorts of elements as all sorts of extra damage of an
right.
element of based off of your fizz. Then you can really want the all penetration that you get from Inquisitor. But if you're really something like the Frostwind build that I made, where you do exclusively deal
Cold.
cold
Right.
damage, it's just not worth it to be Inquisitor, I
Right,
think.
right. Yeah, like my problem with it is that you can just go like EK like a really fast clear speed build, hardly invest in your damage, and then like you crit and you're just fine on the rares. Like you just beat them down, and then like it's good and bad. Like I don't know, like because I
Hmm.
can just put MF gear on an EK Nova character, clear with like Light Poacher, and if you do like physical to lightning on Light Poacher or something to make it mostly elemental on top of hatred, it's like and then I just wear a bright beak to shield charge around really fast. Like, I'm saying like too much, but I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like that it's still it can still do that with like no investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, my argument for that is like, just don't play the build if you don't like it. I guess it's still there. I'm gonna have to deal with it, you know.
Okay. Well, that's a really unique stance on that. Most
Yeah.
people are annoyed by things that are in the game, whether or not they're in immediate contact with it, or
Yeah, it's like I'm playing my own game. Like when I do my stream, when I do whatever I'm doing, like you know, if something happens like the Bestiary thing where like people were doing the mirrored opal rings or whatever it was, like splitting the bases,
yeah.
and it's like everyone's freaking out about it. It doesn't affect me that much. Like on a grand scheme of things, like what Chris put out the numbers and like there were 8 copies made by one guy or something. Oh no.
Yeah,
Like
no, it doesn't.
it doesn't affect
reach the effect doesn't reach the average
No.
player, at least not in a large scale. That's completely
And
true.
yeah, and someone else pointed out during like Breach League where people were like, I think it was Egnarts, the guy that I usually have on stream. He pointed out that people were like glitching Cheula breach stones and getting free drops and stuff while still maintaining their stone, and like that didn't even like kill the economy. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that was like on a way grander scale than what happened to Bestiary. But Reddit still like goes apeshit over, and it's just crazy. Like I don't know. I don't get it. Like just play the game, guys. Like you're still gonna play. You're still gonna move your mouse the same way. You're still gonna pick up your loot. It doesn't matter what someone else is doing. Just have fun playing the game. But that's like a different topic.
No, but it's definitely a good thing too. I mean, it's a valuable mention. But yeah, to just close out the topic of ascendancy changes, there is a lot of interesting changes. There's a lot of changes that we don't really understand, in particular with the Necromancer, and yeah, also with the Guardian. I think it's too outlier. Like for builds for which it's good, it's too good, and for other builds that, you know,
it's too pigeonholed.
Yeah, a little bit. I think
Yeah.
a little bit, just a little bit. I like class identity, and I'm never like, I've never been an opponent of the whole ascendancy idea. Where, you know, many people were opposing it from the start, where they're like, well, Path of Exile is about everyone being able to do everything equally well. And it's like, okay, why do they start at different positions in the tree then? Why don't they have one and the same starting point if they're supposed to do everything the same way? So like there is a point to classes, and that is that not everything is equal. Not everyone does the same things equally. Like in theory, everyone can do everything, but in practice, it's not supposed to be the same. Like there's supposed to be differences.
Like it would be cool if they just peeled it back just a little. Like we do want class identity, but we don't want it to be like you can only play this one build as this one guy. Like that's it. That's what you do.
I feel though that with the ascendancy changes, they kind of doubled down on class identity, didn't they? I mean, they
yeah.
In many cases, I mean, except for Juggernaut, who is like very versatile right now.
Yeah.
Just because he's so strong, probably.
Yeah, he's so strong. Oh man, he definitely hit the gym a lot during this last patch break for sure. He's crazy.
But yeah, but definitely a lot of builds to try out still. You wanted to?
Right.
What the Jug?
Like you wanted to go over like league starters and stuff too in this section, right? Or no?
If you have an interesting league starter to mention, I was gonna go into the sextanting limits already.
Okay.
Because like,
okay, that
I think
good.
I feel you're the person to talk about sextants because you made a video about it, and you're a lot more of an endgame mapper, and you know, a lot more focused on farming efficiently than I am. I'm just sticking around trying not to die. And
Okay. So sextants, old sextants were a mess. I still to this day don't understand sextant blocking as much as I should have back when they were you know, super overpowered and like you had to do a lot of investment. I basically, what I would do, I would look at someone else's atlas for the map that I was farming, and I'd be like, oh, I just need to have red circles here with bad bots. And I did try to do research. I watched a few like, you know, 10, 15-minute videos explaining it, like the neighbors of neighbors of neighbors of neighbors. And it just got to the point where I just didn't want to deal with it. And I was hoping banking on that they would change it so I didn't have to invest more time into it. And man, did that gamble pay off, because now we have new sextants.
Yeah, now there's a, what is the maximum limit? Is 5 sextants at the same time on your atlas if you've unlocked
Right.
everything, right?
Yeah.
So before it was pretty much unlimited. The use of sextant was only limited by the amount you could afford to buy or you could drop, and there was quite absurd spots on the atlas where you could have one map be affected, like higher tier maps be affected by several lower tier sextants, and essentially, multiply your loot by a lot. And yeah, just making it very, very, very good to run maps.
Right. And I enjoy now with the new sextants, like I haven't put in a lot of research as far as like if you unlock this tier of sextants, do you get to maintain those if you drop your atlas back down under those thresholds, or do they go away? I haven't done that yet. I haven't min-maxed that sort of theory. So I don't know if I go to do all of my red maps and then I unspec out of them, like I unbonus them, if I were able to keep those sextants or not. But right now I'm just rocking a nice, comfortable 2 sextant setup. So I just use 2 sextants on burial chambers and I reroll mods. And it's actually been really comfortable not having to think about sextant blocking or being able to reposition Elder on my tree for Elder influence. Like it's just a lot more, it's way more relaxed. It's more comfortable and I like it a lot more now. So.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I never really did the full sextant blocking. But I did a little sextant block here and there every once in a while, but I've never felt the need to repeatedly run one map, so I never really set that up, like a one map sustain atlas setup kind of thing.
Right.
I'm always, continuously moving through the atlas because I never feel like farming one map more than 10 times at a go. Maybe in a racing context, again, when it's all about efficiency, when you really have to min-max. But when I'm just casually playing the game and streaming, I like to change it up. Like I wouldn't even want to do 1 hour of the same map necessarily. Like I oftentimes I roll like 4 or 5 maps at a time, and then after the third
you
one,
put
I'm
them
like,
away.
Yeah, exactly. I put the remaining 2 away, and I dropped like 2 or 3 maps in those 3 maps that I ran, and then I run one of the ones that I dropped because it has a more favorable layout, or because I haven't seen that one in a while. Or it has good rolls or something like that. You identify a rare map and it's like Nemesis, Bloodlines Beyond, and Elemental Equilibrium, which I don't care about because I'm running a pure physical character this time around. So it's like, I mean, Elemental Equilibrium is just a free mod. So are Elemental Resists or anything really elemental related. So yeah, I just like to have fun with the game.
My only variety comes in when I when my Elder goes away and I'm like, oh, I guess I'll go do a gorge map or something and I'll run like that layout or something else. And sometimes I do like to explore during those times. Like I'll be like, I haven't seen Atoll in a while. I'm gonna go do Atoll and wait for my Elder to come back. But that's only like 2 or 3 maps, and then I run like 50 of another map, and then another 50 set. Usually I can crank out about 100 maps out per session of the same map, including the in-betweens, which is pretty insane. But
yeah, I admire that. But like, if I don't have to, like in Mayhem, I pretty much, I chained reef maps for a while. Like, well, obviously in Mayhem it was like, for the people who are unfamiliar with Mayhem is like 5 different mods of a large amount of things in your map, and it can be either 10 breaches, 20 rogue exiles, or something like that. So 5 different things, but the most favorable ones are I think, rogue exiles for low-level areas in order to farm uniques, breaches for maps because experience, quantity, everything return, and then strongboxes a little bit as well. So whenever breach was on reef, I'd do like a whole hour of reef maps. But then you wouldn't really go through a lot of maps because if you have 10 breaches in your map, it takes 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do a map.
Maps.
Exactly. You also probably have to go back in the middle if you pick up too much. But yeah, that wasn't a problem because in Mayhem, obviously, it was a 10-day league. I wanted to go hard and I Try to not pick up as much. I still picked up way too many splinters because I was like not sure whether I wanted to run the breachstones later on or not. So I picked them all up and down, and in the end, after the 10-day league, like I had hundreds of splinters ending in the void league. I was like, that was so
Nice.
stupid. I could have gotten 1 or 2 levels more. Could have probably gotten rank 3 before I died if I had not picked up all those splinters.
I was so scared of strong boxes during that league. It's like, what if I pop a freeze one and I don't have my freeze flask up? I was so scared to go into those maps sometimes, but I just ID'd the boxes and played it super safe. It was a nice change of pace, honestly. That was fun. It was fun for me.
Yeah, I never ID unless I don't have my freeze flask up. I don't ID boxes.
Yeah, I imagine you just develop that habit to like look at your flask really quickly and notice where your freeze flask is.
Exactly. Also, you kind of run the builds, like run the map as if it was softcore because you're used to it, and then you run it really fast and you have permanent uptime of your flasks. So whenever you arrive at the strongbox, you just popped all your flasks anyway because you're killing the pack next to the strongbox before that, and you just pop the strongbox as you go and kill everything. And it really doesn't matter what the strongbox rolls unless it's Ice Nova and Explode and you decide to not dash away.
Right.
But I also have a phasing flask, so there's nothing keeping me at the box. Unless you have strongbox name locking. Yeah, it's really funny because I'm playing a pure physical build and I play Brutality on both of my gems. There's really not much need for unique flasks. Like, I wouldn't benefit from the offensive side of A Taste of Hate. I wouldn't benefit from its Serious Promise because they all give you extra damage as non-physical, and I don't deal non-physical damage because
so it's just Lion's Roar.
Exactly, just Lion's Roar and Rumi's Concoction are the only unique flasks that I'm gonna use in the build.
Yeah, and with most of my builds, I end up doing like one unique flask, and then all of the other ones are blue. That's my archetype pretty much.
So yeah, is there any special new sextants or Atlas strategies now in 3.2 that you'd still want to share with us?
There was one setup that was interesting. One of my viewers linked it to me, like a picture of his Atlas. He's actually doing Elder Influence without having Elder spawned. So what he does is he spawns about 10 maps in the same spot, just all with Elder, right?
Okay.
And then he has the map that he wants to run on the outskirts of that box. And so he does this one map, and then it flips to Shaper, and then flips back to Elder. And it's he says he does about 50 maps before it stops. And that's interesting to me because it means that you don't have to get Elder to spawn in the certain spot. And this is only for people who min-max, like they want Elder Influence for their maps, so it's not going to probably help you, Catmaster. But
no, I had something very similar last league in Abyss League. I actually, before the Frostwind died, I was trying to push Elder Shaper stuff into higher maps, and I was actually on the race course maps. I had that flip-flop situation on race course where whenever I'd run a race course, it would turn from Shaper into Elder, but then I wasn't really able to benefit of that because of the untimely demise of my character.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, what was interesting was like, because everyone thinks that they have to spawn the Guardian right next to the map that they want to run or very close. And you don't even have to spawn Elder, I guess, at least for this one guy's case. And I want to do some experimenting with that to see if it's true. Like, I'm tempted to despawn my Guardian, my good setup right now, just to drag Elder from wherever. Like, I've dragged him over from fields all the way down to burial chambers twice now. And I'll do it a third time for this experiment if I have to. I'll drag him from fields. He can't stay there. I'll bring him all the way across through shore and Tropical Island, right through that little stretch there. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I'm going to do some experimenting with that.
Yeah. Now, I've also heard about more people going for full Atlas completion this time around because of the sextant limits, like in that context, because you can't really specialize into one map and hope to sustain it with good sextant blocking and stuff. I heard from many people that they were going for full completion this time.
I think both strategies right now are very viable. You can sustain a like a T10 shaped Atlas, like I was doing shaped channels for so long, just getting excess amount of maps. And I did have to chisel, and I did use 2 sextants, but it wasn't that expensive to keep the sextants up, and I was still profiting pretty heavily from that. And then there's like another farm you can do, like shaped underground sea, with the alchemy problem right now. A lot of people have been doing that. They'll just shape underground sea and do like, you know, sextants for that, and it's like a 3 div card turn in for 7 alchemy orbs. It's
That's
actually
true.
really
Yeah, no,
good.
the Underground Sea I've seen on several streams, and it's really good. I liked it before already, but now in the context of other things being nerfed, it really shines with its
Oh yeah.
density. And even though the layout is a little bit weird, it's not as bad as other ones. It's like semi-open sort of.
Yep. Yeah, they definitely changed it for the better, I think. Like the density got buffed, and it's just the layout got slightly changed, and it's much better than it used to be.
Yeah, it's also it seems like awkwardly familiar that a map that has a tile set that appears so early on in the game also turns out to be one of the most efficient ones to run on your atlas.
Right.
Like just
Yeah.
I don't know, they had that before with something. I feel.
I'm trying to think. Gorge.
Yeah, exactly. Gorge was for years was the go-to map, and it's like basically
Yeah.
just the mountain ledge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
Atoll.
that's fun.
Yeah,
Atoll, yeah.
we'll also love that.
Oh man, I miss old Mountain Ledge.
The tier
That
2,
old map.
or
Yeah.
when it was tier 7 in between.
Yeah, it was an in between, I think. It might have been a tier 8 at one point. The old days.
And now it's tier 8, right? Atoll.
Atoll's tier 6 now. It used to be
6.
tier 8.
Oh, I'm so confused.
And then and then like Mountain Ledge was a bunch of different tiers too. I think it went through a lot of changes. The
Mountain
Atlas
Ledge used to be when I started playing, I think, tier 2. Tier 1 was
Tier
Tropical
2.
Island, and tier 2 was Mountain Ledge.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Leyline used to be called? Because I can't remember, and it's been bugging me.
I don't even know what Leyline is. Like, honestly, every time I forget
tier 2
which map it is. I do have 3 ley lines. I'll check it after the podcast, and I'll tell you what it used to be called. I'll remember.
Okay.
I'm pretty good with stuff like that.
It used to have Warbands mobs. Now it has the
which one?
Mirror Archer.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. I can't remember that one either.
You remember that you can't remember? That's where I was at too.
But yeah, I know it had the Cold War bands, right?
Yep.
The ones that are now in Iceberg.
Yeah. They flip-flopped it there. Which makes more sense, Iceberg and the Cold War bands, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, I also really like how they changed most of the maps to have the boss that you expect there. Like when it resembles an area throughout the story, it's usually the same boss. Yeah, it makes sense. And also for the Pantheon power augmentations, that it's the same boss as the one that grants you the original power. Meaning for Soul of Relikash, you kill Groost in Act 7, but then you kill the map Groost in order to augment it.
Oh, nice. I hadn't even noticed that. I love it when things... No, I haven't. Well, I haven't messed with my Pantheons.
If you augment the Soul of Arakali, one of the augments is tier 15 Arakali.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice. That's actually really good. Yeah, I love it when flavor stuff lines up like that and it actually makes sense. It's amazing. That's good.
So, I guess we're going into the changes to rarity affecting monsters. We haven't talked about that actually. Is there anything?
No.
I mean, basically what they did is, I don't even know exactly, they had a whole development manifesto post, but they said that previously mods that affected rare monsters or monsters of higher rarity than normals were not working correctly, so those monsters were dealing less damage than they were supposed to deal. And now they fixed that with the patch and prepared us to, take care that, map bosses with map mods are going to be a lot more rippy, and in certain situations, rare monsters with a lot of mods. And to be honest, I can't really separate the threats that I felt from the beast mobs from general threats from rare monsters. But it does feel a lot more rippy right now, the game, and I've certainly died a lot, not necessarily to rares, but just the game feels scary again. in many situations. And the one fellow streamer, I think it was Raikon, had this highlight clip of where he got one shot by a Kitava's Herald, by a rare Kitava's Herald, in a tier 4 or tier 6 map, something like that. He was on Wonder with like almost 5,000 HP, or like somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000, and that Kitava Herald just comes and
one-tapped him.
Yeah.
That's rough. Cool. I wish that I had played, like, part of me wished that I had played Wind Ripper again, because then I could gauge the content as far as like how long it takes me to kill something, or
how fast you die.
Yeah, how fast I die. And I mean, I guess that how fast I die, I've noticed it a little bit on RF, but it's a little different because I had a different set of mitigation tools for Pathfinder. For example, I had extra flask effect on distillate and stuff for elemental damage, and less elemental damage taken, like compared to Juggernaut, which has more physical reductions. So I can't really do that 1-for-1, but it did feel rippier on my Juggernaut, clearing maps and stuff. Sometimes the rares would get a little out of hand, especially the beasts, and map bosses were a little rough, but my character didn't ever pack like Scorching Ray or anything like that for single target. It wasn't meant to be a bosser. But I think the fact that I got Hydra down in MF gear means that it can't be that bad. You know what I mean? I took down Hydra with like 2-player HP, so like it's pretty good for an MF character, I think.
That's true. In MF gear, well.
Yep. And I mean, I guess
Scorching Ray.
Without Scorching Ray, I fucking downed it. You got down 2 people.
Deathless?
Deathless. No, I died once. I had to take it back. I missed, but I guess in that aspect, I could dodge everything Hydra was doing, so maybe that's not a good example. You know what I'm saying? Like it's pretty much like you can dodge everything that Hydra does 100%. So that was just player skill, I think, not really map mods. Like
not really a showcase of the build or the map mods. Yeah. No,
the rare monsters. So just backpedaling a little bit there, I guess, because that doesn't make much sense. Forage, I guess. I don't know. The ads, the boss itself hit pretty hard, I guess. I tanked it once or twice. The weird like blade dance thing he does.
Yeah, isn't Phoenix a special kind of situation for RF builds because it does reduce your fire res?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you do get fire damage. Oh, he reduces my fire res.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of mechanic that reduces your fire res. Like for each 10% of life that he's missing, you get 1 less max fire res or something like that.
That would explain why it went south pretty fast.
Okay, you didn't know that. Now let me quickly look that up. It's I think for every 10% that the boss is missing, he debuffs you.
Oh my god, that's so awful. It's awful that I didn't know about that, but
the player gains a debuff that reduces the maximum fire resistance by 1%. This debuff is permanent until the boss dies. It stacks for every 10% health the boss is missing. Yeah. So with Righteous Fire, you kind of want to kill Phoenix relatively fast.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but it also does this fire bomb which debuffs you for -50 fire resistance, which I think you don't care about because you're so far over cap with the Righteous Fire build usually.
Right. Yeah. With Purity, rock like 190% pretty easy. So. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say it's noticeable, but it doesn't break the game in any way yet. Like I think it's just something we should adjust to, and if the game was supposed to be played in this manner, like that's how it is, I guess.
Yeah, like if there's the occasional wake-up call, like not necessarily the occasional rip, but like the occasional situation where like Monka asks, let me portal out here, refill my flasks. And I mean, maybe not in softcore if you don't care about losing experience, right? But if you're pushing for past level 95 or something like that, it's pretty much the same as playing hardcore.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, as soon as you die, you lose like 2 or 3 days worth of experience. It's like old D2 days almost. Maybe not that bad. D2 was really bad, but grinding out like your fucking whole like high school year to get a couple % on your bar, it's really bad.
Yeah, I cannot stress that point enough. That I'm happy to never have, happy and sad to never have played D2 that extensively.
Yeah. I never played it super extensively, but I heard stories from my roommate Wesley, um, and him and his friend Tan used to push it, and it was pretty intense. So I got it like by proxy, pretty much.
All right, then I think we're going into the section where we quickly talk about the most recent events in terms of Path of Exile racing. So racing has always been a thing in Path of Exile. I mean, a game like that, similar to D2, lends itself to speed running, and people have always been trying to, get best times while doing that. And grinding gear games already, when I started playing, I don't know how it was before I played, I don't know all the things how it started, but they already did like race seasons during the middle of the league where there was just 1 or 2 months worth of race events where you could get points which then accumulated throughout the race season, and you could get rewards like alternate art unique items. And it used to be very no-lifey, like you'd have to put up with a lot of people no-lifing the league and playing every single race, which would be very hard because they'd start throughout the most different and random times in the day, depending on which time zone you're in. So that always got a lot of criticism. But eventually, and that's what GGG stated at some point, because they were afraid that it would take away from the retention of the league, they decided to discontinue those race seasons. But yeah, racing, going fast through the game, also not just the game, but there's also alternative races where you go through areas that are not in the game itself, not the normal story areas, but special race area sequences, like the descent races or the endless ledge races. Those were always really, really interesting and popular, and I'm hoping for them to come back at some point, but basically we have been without races now for I think like what was the last race season? Almost 2 years ago. And we've only had occasional, flashback races and these mayhem and turmoil events. But then most recently we had an official GGG race event, and that was the International versus China race event. That was also, commentated on by ZGD and Cute Dog, as we can see here. They did this split screen stream, and the highlights for me personally were when Dead and Doom went for an early piety. He would have gotten, I think, a sub 50-minute piety kill, which in itself is already pretty insane. I mean, I don't do the duelist meta, so I'd probably have to practice a little bit, and maybe I'll get a sub 1 hour Act 3 something. But for me right now, I'm really, really happy if I if I get to Oversoul in 50 minutes. but yeah, 50 minutes piety kill is insane. But then that guy is also really, really trained in the race meta and has countless speed runs.
Yeah, I've gotten like a 16-minute Merville, but it was like with leveling gear, so it doesn't count at all.
16-minute Merville is good. And why does it not count? I mean, there's such things as
I had level speed runs. Yeah,
but that counts as a twinked speed run. I think that's a separate discipline, like dual wield Screaming Eagle and Wanderlust and whatnot, Asinus for that little bit extra move speed.
Because I always take
Corrupted and stuff like that. No, that's its own discipline.
Yep. Like I always take like an hour before I start leveling my character to get all of the gear together and like all of the gems set up, so I can just grab them from the same stash tab, and I have fun with that. But no, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, I usually try to play as much as possible in those race seasons, and I do still have some alternate arts sitting in my stash, but I was never really, really good at it until most recently when we did that hardcore mayhem event. I managed to get a top 5 position, and yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm really looking forward to more racing action happening, because it would give newer players an opportunity to train these races that you don't normally have, like the Descent races or the Endless Ledge, those special events that you can't really play outside of a race
Exiles
season.
everywhere.
Exiles everywhere. Like I always feel the veteran racers have so much of an advantage because they've been playing this game for years, and they've seen these unique race types a lot more often, and they're just not available to someone, you know, who started in the past year. They've never had the chance to play a Descent Champions. They've never had the chance to play Exiles Everywhere. So when they do, they're also not going to be competitive within the first couple of times. So I
Right.
feel it's really, yeah, it's sad because I personally always see racing as like a core aspect of PoE. I know in the general main population of Path of Exile that image is not there. Like many people just
Yeah.
see it as like a grinding end gear game, sort of. But I really like the racing.
Yeah. And I can understand their like stance on it. Like they don't want to take away from their league because that will lose them money, theoretically and such. Like I understand it. I just wish they would find some way to implement it into uh like either whether it incorporates into the league or just like, and I know that they don't like to admit this, but like the last like month of the league is sort of dead for a lot of people. I know that some people like me and Catmaster will play throughout the whole thing because we just love the game.
Mm.
We'll just keep going. But there are a lot of people who like take breaks and do different games and such. And I think that if like within the last 2 weeks of the league, I think would be fair to just fill those with race events or something, you know, like just give us a chance to do that. Like, I don't know, just be able to fit it in somehow. Because I think that it is interesting. And even if I wouldn't partake in it personally, I know that there are a lot of people out there who would enjoy participating and gaining those skill sets because I think someone in my chat like last night was, or it was the night before, but he was just like, I want a competitive game to play. Like there's no competition here, I feel like, in Path of Exile. And I was like, well, there is, you know, this and this. You can do other things to compete. I guess it's
Mm.
not the same as climbing the ladder in something like League of Legends or Dota 2 where there's MMR. But I think that the racing competitiveness would be something that that guy would seek out. You know what I mean? And there's probably, this isn't the only guy, right? Like there are plenty of guys like this that are looking for some sort of competition.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm also absolutely up
yeah,
for that because
yeah,
when I died on the high ladder early league, that took a major, you know, major chunk of my motivation for the rest of the league because I was like, well, I could re-roll, but I'd just rather, you know, have a new league where everyone starts from zero and I'll just, you know, redo it and just try to be up there again. It's like, I don't know,
yeah.
how
It's
should I
like
say
when you're
that?
in, yeah, it's like when
Uh,
you're in a tournament and you can like fold and go participate in another like poker tournament or something else, and like you feel like you have another chance at it.
well, back to the days when I started playing League of Legends, I hadn't played anything in years because I was I didn't want to lose my progress. And then when I started League of Legends, um, there was no progress to lose because every match you would be starting from scratch with a new character from level 1, and there was really no reason to be afraid that you know that your computer would crash or your hard disk would die and you'd lose everything that you've accumulated over time. And that's also what, you know, drew me to Path of Exile in the end was that it doesn't matter. You know, you never play Standard League. Even if you get a new account, you're still going to be able to enjoy the game because you'll start a new round every like 3 months. But still, throughout the league, I develop attachments to characters, to my currency, to my items, and it annoys me. Like, if I had the option to play a new race league every couple of days, I'd probably much prefer that over playing the 3 months league. And if those race events then in turn would feed into the 3 month league, that I'm not wasting my time, because I think that's the major thing that keeps other people from enjoying the league or the races during the league is like, well, I'll lose out on league progress, right? But if what you were gaining throughout the races would feed into the league, sort of, or if you could at least use the
Yeah,
character afterwards as a new character. Well, I leveled this character to 40 now in a 2 hour race. Say, I think 40 is a bit low for 2 hours, but anyway, just as an example. No, 40 is
yeah.
fine for 2 hours actually. 2 hour Malachi race. You do Malachi at some point between
Mm.
36 and 40.
Yeah, and like one of the best leagues that I had, like one of the most positive like feedback that I got from like, you know, the effort that I put into it was during Perandus when they did that flashback league, man. That was
Oh
awesome.
yeah, that was that 2 week Piranha's flashback event was super fun,
Yeah,
and that was also it was a unique race event in the sense that they granted um, uh, demigods chest pieces to the top 20 of each ascendancy class, not just to the
yeah.
top 3 or top 5 or the best, but top 20, and that really made it so that everyone had the feeling, oh, I could get one.
Right, yeah, that was excellent. I think if they did something like that every league, it would be a home run and it would keep people in it for like the whole time. You do a flashback league 2 months in, you got everyone because they have a new character, they got more currency, they got to participate in this thing, and then they get pushed back into the league with that new stuff, and they feel like they haven't really lost progress. Like maybe a month and a half in would be better instead of 2 months, but I just loved that what I was doing during that flashback race, built up to something like you were saying.
Yeah.
You were able to bring it all back.
Oh man, that
Was nice.
flashback race. You bring back sad memories then. I was saving my
Sad.
Pirandas coins in the race, and I got a Song of the Sirens offer from Kadiro, and I didn't take it because I was saving my coins for if I get a coil offer or something like that.
Yeah.
It was very sad. It was. I only have a screenshot of that left. That was the one and only time I saw a Song of the Sirens in game.
Oh.
I could have even afforded it. That's the worst thing. I had the coins. I was just like, damn, if next map I get a coil from Kadiro or a belly, then I'm gonna be super upset if I spend it on a useless fishing rod, right?
Oh no. That's sad.
Yeah, could be worse. But yeah. I think
bad,
racing in general could be something very, very healthy for Path of Exile and for how the outside world perceives Path of Exile. Because right now it's just like a no-lifer game sort of thing, and it could be something for everyone, right? Like something for speedrunners from all kinds of different backgrounds. I mean, for people who used to speedrun Diablo 2, we saw this guy called Mr. Llama come over from D2 for a bit of PoE action, and
Nice.
I think a lot of people would be potentially more interested in playing Path of Exile if there was more races than they are like this, and I feel it's these international events that we had a couple of weekends ago, like they went a long way to showing GGG once more how well perceived or well received the racing is among the community. Just people love to watch it, people love to participate in that, and it adds a whole new level to the game, because many people also complain that the game is casualized and too easy, but what I personally feel is the game will never be too easy or too casual for someone trying to go through it as fast as possible, because if it's too easy, then you just go faster and you just level less, you kill less mobs, and you go faster and faster, you min-max further, and it becomes hard again. So I think in a racing context, it's also perfectly fine balance at the moment, or it will always be perfectly fine balance, because it's just, I mean, I guess there are some points that are not perfectly fine balance, like the RNG dependence, early on, if you kind of need
you
a
drop
stat amulet.
Yeah.
That also, that's okay. I think the occasional big drop that you'll have to leverage into an advantage is good, because to an unskilled player, that also means a lot less than to a skilled player. You'll also make, like, I think one of the races, I don't remember who dropped a Quill Rain in one of the races, and he vendored it. He was like, the commentators, in that case CGD and Q-Talk, they were even speculating, is he gonna go for a bow build now that he get Quill Rain, and he just vendored it. Yeah, because you don't need it. Like, you could use it for a weapon swap setup so you could get through Kaoms, but I don't know whether it was in the Malachi race or in the Piety race. So in the Piety race, that's completely worthless. I mean, a blink arrow setup can be an advantage still here and there in one or other tile set, also in that Piety area that we see down there. Sometimes a blink arrow can give you just a little bit more efficient moves than you can have with Leap Slam. But
Gotcha.
yeah, what I'm trying to say is that it's not an instant win if you get a tabula or if you get a good unique, because you'll still have to leverage it. But it's an instant lose if you can't buy an amulet, even though you got a transmute, but it's just not available from the vendor, or the other way around. You could not buy an amulet just because you didn't drop a transmute, and you can't buy a transmute because Transmutes are 7 portal scrolls, and each portal scroll is 3 wisdom scrolls. So in order to buy a transmute, you need 21 wisdom scrolls in solo self-found early on, and it's just completely unfeasible. So they could alleviate a little bit of RNG, but now we're already getting too deep into the racing itself. I just wanted to highlight again that I think it could be very healthy for the Path of Exile community in the short and in the long run, because I think it could actually help keeping players busy with the game, as opposed to, you know, the league dying out, if they make it so that there's a nice interaction between the racing and the league itself. And in the long run, it could just help make drawing more people and a different kind of crowd into Path of Exile. Because most recently, we've been getting, you know, a lot of people that are fed up or done with D3. And, you know, in the future, we could be getting some more dedicated speed racers, or like just, you know, people from the competitive scene of other games getting interested into Path of Exile. It would also increase the overall level at which we all play the game and which we theory craft. So I can see only positive things come out of more racing.
Yeah, I think once they figure out how to balance the marketing thing with like not losing money or just being able to entwine it somehow, they'll make more money off of it. You know what I mean? Eventually, once they actually figure that out, and then we'll be set. We just gotta wait.
It's fascinating. We're actually closing in on the 2-hour mark, so I suggest we quickly look at the 2 unique items that we scheduled ourselves or set ourselves up to look at, and then do our closing comments, so that we won't be too much above the 2-hour mark, because I think no one wants to watch a 3-hour video.
Right, 3 hours is pretty big.
Anyway, so yeah, bottom line is GGG, please more racing. We all love it. And it can't hurt. I don't think it will hurt. Like that old conception of it takes away from the retention and it makes people engage with the league less. I think if people want to play the league, they play the league, and if people want to not play the league, they leave the game. And if there's racing, then they have an option to do something else than the league.
Exactly, that's the point that I would make.
Okay, so there's a bunch of unique items that popped up with this 3.2 patch, but we picked 2 in particular that we wanted to look at. And one of them is the Lore Weave Unique Elegant Ringmail, which is in a very special place because it's actually been implemented into the game as a vendor recipe only unique. As far as I know, you cannot drop this. You can only get this as a vendor recipe by vendoring a full inventory of unique rings, meaning that's 5 by 12 if I'm not mistaken. So that's 60 rings. I
think it's 60. Yep.
It has pretty large roll ranges. It gives you flat physical to attacks, between 8 and 24 to all attributes, 20 to 60 global crit strike chance, 15 to 50 max energy shield, 20 to 60 life, 20 to 50 mana, and a large margin on pretty much every roll, right? There's also between 6 and 30 increased rarity, and 15 to 50 increased elemental damage. And the most defining attribute on this whole list, which looks almost like 1,000 ribbons because it has so many stats, but the most build defining thing would be that it sets your maximum resistances to a fixed value between 76 and 80, meaning you cannot reduce or increase your max resists with anything else anymore. But you still get, you know, additional max resist or more max resist than you would have otherwise. I mean, of course, unless you have items that will raise it and that are useless then because of this. But what do you think about this chess piece? Can you see that being used in a Righteous Fire build, for instance?
Probably not Righteous Fire. You want to get like 90-something% reses on Righteous Fire. Most of the time, like I usually try to push for like 96.
Oh, okay.
I think where it would actually shine the most would be like a Doomfletch Prism build. I think it would fit in perfectly on that. Because you get a lot of flat fizz or like a decent amount on your chess piece, which you usually can't get. There's like a few other chess pieces that will give you flat fizz.
Flat fizz on a unique chess piece is really not that.
Yep. Gives you elemental damage. It gives you extra survivability with that minus max res. Or not minus max res, the fixed res. I think with the way that the fixed res goes is like you can't even get reduced upon by map mods, if I understand it correctly, which makes it
it's
really amazing.
like the mod on the Veil of the Night, where it says your
Oh
elemental
yeah.
resists are 0. Your elemental resists will also never be
Okay.
less than 0 with you know, Kitava Infliction.
Okay.
Or,
But yeah, it gives
anything.
everything. Yep, it gives everything that Doomfletch I think would want.
The
And
problem
it fits into
being that
almost,
it's an armor evasion, armor energy shield base. I don't know
yeah,
how many green gems a Doomfletch usually uses.
a lot probably. I know it uses like chance to bleed, which is red, which is nice. A couple of the elemental ones are like increased crit strikes. Like I could see it being not impossible. It'd probably be like 4 off, maybe 3 or 4
But
off.
sort of any physical to elemental conversion as an attacker pretty much
Right.
benefit from it. I mean, also what you said
Oh yeah.
earlier with Chieftain, Purifier, War Chief totems or stuff like that.
Right.
I could see that work.
Yep. And like Wild Strike or something like that, where it would just rinse it all through. Like not like rinse it through different conversions, but just like it starts out as physical, you convert it to something else, and then that weapon or the elemental damage to the armor applies as well. It's pretty, I think it'd be pretty good for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just, yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, one
And I
aspect
also,
that I mentioned earlier already, because I couldn't hold myself back, but what I really like, and that's a tendency I see with a lot of items, even though like those are supporter created uniques. I'm not sure about this one actually, but I know the Wise Oak Flask is a supporter unique, so it can't be like a plan by GGG, even though they assist with the creation process and they kind of have a decision what to implement, what not to implement, so they can push it in a certain direction. But this this kind of hard limits, puts a cap on the price of unique rings. Unique rings can never be worth much less than 1/60th part of the price of this chess piece. And since it always has 6 sockets, it's fairly easy to roll a 5-link. I think we didn't even mention that. That went completely unmentioned. This chess piece comes always with 6 sockets. So
right,
it's a small save, but you still save jewelers. I mean,
right.
you're kind of protected from that really unlucky, you know, 500 600 jeweler 6 socket
Right.
that happens to every one of us every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I blew like 700 on a Terminus once, and I just destroyed it on cursor. I was so upset. Like, and it was like perfectly rolled too. I just blew it up. I was so done with it.
Yeah, man, I never did that in Path of Exile though. I remember when I was younger, like I kind of wanted to build like a Lego thing, and it was like really a little bit too much for my age. Like I think I was 10, I built like a 12 years minimum, like a space shuttle with all kinds of fiber technology and everything. And like halfway, I realized I had done something wrong, and that the wheels wouldn't come out perfectly. I was like, I just took it and threw it against the wall. And the worst thing is like it didn't even come apart because it was Lego Technic, like the Technic stuff. So it still was messed up. I couldn't continue from that stage anymore, but I had to take it all apart. That was so much work, and sort the parts again and start from scratch.
Oh,
and
no.
that really taught me to never rage again. Like
Yeah.
after that, I think there was exactly one thing that I threw against the wall. And that was an
Yeah, it wasn't.
alarm clock
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah, it wasn't like a super hard rage. I was just like, fuck this item, and I just destroyed it on the cursor.
Awesome.
And I gave up on my Flicker build that I was theory crafting up at the time. I was like, yeah, this is a sign. And I just yep, it was gone.
So, and then there is another unique that we put up, which is called the Might of the Meek. It's a unique Crimson Jewel. Let me see whether I can put this in a way that we can all see it. Oh god, I don't see anything anymore. Where did everything go? Where's my Discord? Disc or die. So we got the Might of the Meek, unique Crimson Jewel here, which increases the effect of non-keystone passive skills in the radius of the jewel, which is a large one, so pretty much a lot, by 50%. With the downside of making the notables grant nothing, which is a really interesting jewel, I feel, because I don't know whether we have actually jewel socket radii in this Path of Exile planner, but what I wanted to show real quickly here that this spot at the Scion start, you can clearly see that the large radius includes 5 nodes of the life wheel here, as well as here, but not the notable of the life wheel. So this will still grant you stats, and these 5 will grant you 7 instead of 5% increased max life. Pretty strong. I found a Might of the Meek earlier this league and sold it for like, I think 70 chaos.
17 or 70?
70.
70?
I think it went up in the meantime, but I don't know. But yeah, is there anything? Have you looked at the jewel at all?
I think I vendored it.
You vendored it?
I think I vendored it, man. I'm pretty sure.
Let me quickly check. I'm pretty sure it's fairly expensive. I mean, it might be different.
Pretty sure I just threw it in the trash.
Seriously?
I think so.
It's 45 chaos in softcore as
Oh
well.
yeah.
And in hardcore, I think it's worth more because of that interaction with the life wheel. In hardcore, 115 chaos now.
Wow.
I could buy. Oh, I could slap myself for selling it for 70 early.
Yeah, on. I think I just gave it to Navalia, man.
Navalia?
Yeah, I think she has it, man. I think she still has it.
Ask her to get it back, maybe. But yeah, it's a really nice jewel. Like, I think there's also some other spots where you could do it nicely, but I think down here at the Scion, it's really the best because you can put it here and you can path out here, so you don't get the downside of the notable where you path out being worth nothing. Like if you put it here and you path out here, then Shaper wouldn't give you anything.
Yeah, I would put it right on the crit multi side too. Like if I were going with crit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like right there, like that with higher killer and true strike.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you put it here, then two out of those 3s are already in there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Like you can get so much out of starting a Scion because like everything in the large wheel is
you wouldn't want to block. 1.5. Yeah, you would block Harrier if you put it in the other spot. So yeah, that would be
exactly.
bad.
You'd block Harrier and you wouldn't be able to get Harrier. You wouldn't be able to get the aura stuff. But I guess it depends on what build you're playing. But also here, take a note of Foresight not being in the large radius, right? Foresight is not in the large radius, but the little nodes are as many as there can be, right? There's 5.
Right.
That would then grant you 9% ES instead of 6. It's incredibly strong, especially in a hardcore context.
Yeah.
So yeah. Insane.
Yeah, it's really good. I wish I had thought about it a little bit more.
Yeah, in the beginning it was really cheap also. Like I think when I dropped it was like 50 chaos, and then when I decided to sell it, I priced it at 70, even though it was like 60, 65 something. I could have realized that the trend would continue.
I hope that I put it into a stash tab. Maybe I was like, this is interesting, and I put it into the stash and just didn't price check it. I hope that's the case, but I know I dropped one. So if I don't have it, that means Navalia definitely does.
I also like the flavor text. Enough mice can kill a wolf. Simple, straight to the point. You know, gives you the item identity.
Yeah, right on point.
Okay, then we're pretty much already through, except for wait, what do we want to still cover?
I think that was
interesting questions. Exactly. If anyone in the chat right now has maybe an interesting question or two about, I think I missed most of the interesting questions that I saw. So if you guys still have something that you want answer it or talked about, then you may bring that up now. And other than that, we can already start by telling you guys that you can find us streaming daily on Twitch. I listed underneath our pictures the addresses where you can find us. Pretty much straightforward. Twitch TV/WaifuGate or Twitch TV/CatmasterOP. You can also find us on YouTube. We're going to upload this podcast to YouTube. I'm going to do it on a regular basis. We just don't know yet when. Probably again in around 2 weeks' time, depending on whether we feel there's enough to talk about. When does the league end? I think it's a 3-month league. It started on the 2nd of March, so it would be safe to assume that it ends around the 2nd of May? No, June, right? Yeah.
June, I think. I'm not very good with months, man. Sometimes
Yeah.
I forget which month it is.
No,
So
end of
I'm not
May,
the best
beginning
guy to
of
ask.
June. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that the league will end then. Leagues are traditionally 3 months long, so this one is no exception. Although it feels like it should be a lot shorter. Maybe they can end it early with some races.
Please.
Come on, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. I'm still having a lot of fun, so I don't
Yeah.
mind. If they extend it, I'd be a little sad and confused, but
Yeah. All right, then I'm happy it went that well. We're at 2 hours and 9 minutes, so I think that sums it up quite nicely. And well, how are we gonna continue? Are you gonna stream after this, or are you going
me?
to rest?
I'm probably gonna rest. I'll probably mess around in a few maps, maybe piddle around, but like I'm not gonna.
Not gonna go
I
live
don't
right
think.
now.
No, I don't think I'm
Because
gonna go live.
I'll still have to check the VOD and upload it to the YouTubes. Or yeah. Then I'll probably host someone from the community.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. It was awesome. Thanks for everything, and see you all in the next Faded Connections. My name's CatmasterOP. Thank you, WaifuGate, for being there. Or, I mean, we thank each other because this is our together effort. I don't want to sound
Oh, it
like...
was good.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one,
See you guys
guys.
later.